Hello guys, how are you doing today? And welcome to lesson number 3 from this unit 5. Remember, this is the pre-intermediate course. We are in level number 10, and let's begin with the final lesson of this unit. So just a quick review. Well, remember that this lesson is advice and information for your trip, and just to remind you, this is the second topic: give advice and talk about needs. We mentioned here keywords to give advice with had better, ought to, should, and shouldn't, and to mention needs or obligations with must, need to, have to, or don't have to. Okay, so we're going to be using those expressions for this lesson. Okay, and in this case, remember that from last unit we talked about a vacation plans. And in this case, if you were 100% sure, using going to. If you're not sure, using will, and other expressions such as I'm not sure, maybe, I guess, I don't know, probably, etc. And in this case, imagine that your friend, your coworker, your family member, your classmate is going on vacation, and maybe you want to give your opinion and you want to give some advice for that person, right? You want to help them. So it's the same. Remember, we have two. The first expressions are to give advice. So when someone mentions, I'm going to travel to Mexico, okay, and maybe you want to give them some advice, well, you can use had better, ought to, should, and shouldn't. Okay, so for number 1, or letter A, I'm going to travel to Mexico. Oh, great. Well, you'd better buy sunscreen, right? So you're giving your advice, maybe because in Mexico there's a lot of sun and it's very hot. Okay. B, you ought to pack extra swimsuits. Okay, the same. Maybe because you're going to Mexico, you're going to be visiting a lot of beaches and you're going to be swimming a lot, etc. Right? So this is another advice from this person. Letter C, you should try some local specialty food, right? So obviously, if you're going to travel to a different country or a different state or a different city, maybe in this specific location you want to try some local specialty food, right? Or in this case, Mexican food. So you should try some local specialty food. And finally, letter D, shouldn't. Okay, I'm going to travel to Mexico. Oh, okay. Well, you shouldn't carry too much cash, right? Cash, money. So why? Maybe because it's dangerous, right? As a tourist, maybe with insecurity and crime, etc., maybe it's not a good idea to have a lot of cash with you. Okay. Again, I'm going to travel to Mexico. Oh, okay. Well, you shouldn't carry too much cash. Okay. Again, this is an example of advice. So here, for examples, using the vocabulary we saw at the beginning. Then, the same idea, the same giving, in this case, not advice, but talking about need and obligations. Using the vocabulary we saw with must, need to, have to, or don't have to. Okay? So we have the same idea. I'm going to travel to Mexico. Okay, so maybe in this case, need or obligation, you could say, oh, okay, well, you must get travel insurance in case of an accident. Remember, insurance is a type of protection in case of an emergency or accident. Then, need to. You need to be at least 21 years old to rent a car. Okay, need to, right? It's an obligation. You cannot rent a car if you're 18 or 19 or even 20 years old. Okay, so, oh, okay, well, remember, you need to be at least 21 years old to rent a car. Letter C, have to. You have to get a passport. Well, yeah, you know that if you are going to travel to a different country, it's important to get a passport, right? Some countries might require a visa, so you might need to file a visa depending on the country. So you have to get a passport, okay? Or, like I said, a visa. You have to file for a visa. And letter D, don't have to. You don't have to get any special vaccines. Okay, vaccines, in Spanish, the word would be vacunas, vacunación, right? So in this case, well, maybe some countries, maybe depending on their environment, etc., you might need a vaccine, a special type of protection because of a special type of disease that you don't have in your country and it might be dangerous for you. Okay, so the letter D, you don't have to get any special vaccines. Okay, so again, in this case, when someone is going to on a trip or a vacation, then you can either give advice, right, using had better, ought to, should, and shouldn't, or must, need to, have to, or don't have to tell them about special needs or obligations. All right, so this is the end of lesson 3, and I will see you for the next unit. Okay, unit number 6. So have a nice day and see you later.